Shweta, you.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to esteemed viewers of 10 News Live. Today, in the times of COVID, when we are all struggling to find ways to take care of our family members, to find cures, to find means and ways of treatment, the sources where we can take our family, our near and dear ones, how to get them safe in the times of COVID, how, in case if someone has got COVID, how to actually get the treatment right, because there is a lot of debate going on, which is the right kind or what is a correct protocol to even treat COVID, and what happens once you have contracted COVID. The post-COVID recovery is absolutely different for different patients. So, to talk on the same topic, we have got an expert with us, Dr. Lenny Da Costa, a leading consultant geriatrician from Mumbai, preventive cardiologist, and an expert in anti-aging. Dr. Lenny, very warm welcome on our show, sir.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. We also have with us Mr. Sanjay Sachdeva, who's also a doctorate from the functional nutritionist, sorry, sir, and is also a co-founder of Devam Wellbeing, who has been again guiding us a lot about the functional medicines, different ways and treatments, and not just the general preventions and the healthcare treatments, but also in tough times like treating serious health issues like cancer, diabetes, and even including COVID-19. So, sir, today we would like you to participate with us and having a discussion with Dr. Lenny Da Costa about what can be done, how can we contribute in these tough times to all those people who are looking for a solution but are not getting a headway. So, what can be done in these times? So, we'll start first of all with Dr. Lenny Da Costa. Dr. Lenny, if you would like to give a brief introduction of yours, and then we will start the journey, how we can help everybody who's watching this program, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shweta, for having me here. For starters, yes, I do have a clinic in Mumbai, but I live in Goa, the beautiful state of Goa, and I do practice here as well. So I've been here since the lockdown, though my teams are working in Mumbai as well as some other parts of the country. Having said this, yes, I do a lot of geriatric work. Geriatrics is basically like pediatrics, which is for the children. Geriatrics is for the elderly, above the age of 60. That has also led me to do a lot of work in preventive medicine. Preventive medicine in the sense, how can you slow down the aging process? How can you slow down issues that help chronic degenerative disorders kind of advance at a galloping pace like they do right now? And more importantly, how can we actually prevent premature aging? I mean, we see a lot of people today having diabetes at 35. Now let's look at this one simple case. 35, you get diabetes or hypertension, and you're going to live to be 80. So the balance 45 years, you're going to be living as a sick person. How can that be? So the idea is prevent this chronic degeneration from setting in as early as it sets in today, and understanding why it does, and how we can do it in a way that helps you to actually see results quickly. Now, in this particular line of treatment, or in the type of medicine that we use called functional medicine, we do it tailor-made for a person to person. So what works for you will not work for someone else, and therefore everything is tailor-made for you. Your reports, your diagnostics, everything is specific for you. Once we get everything on paper, once we examine you, then we do something which is very detailed. starts with everything that we need to do, right from diet, the kind of lifestyle you live, what are the kind of toxicities you have, and we take care of everything, including the mind and the body. So that is the long and short of what I do.
Sanjay ji,
Over
would
the
you like
years,
to add something?
yeah,
Sorry.
over the years, we've also been able to treat a lot of cardiac patients where we have reversed heart disease. We treat a lot of cancer patients who do not want to do their chemo and radio for whatever reasons, whether they can't do it, they are too far end stage. We help them have a better quality of life with principles of functional medicine. So that is what we have been doing so far. And over the last 1 year, I've been helping a lot of COVID cases to try and fight it in very advanced cases. We've had some cases who were admitted in ICU who were not responding. High dose vitamin C has helped them to respond very, very effectively. So this is the long and short of what I do, Shweta. And yes, I'm happy to answer detailed questions on various topics that I touch. And it's
Absolutely.
fascinating at times.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, what I am given to understand, you have an expertise in another field, which I would say the one of the part of the functional medicine that you have taken over is the IV therapy treatment. So you've been
Yes.
doing your treatments through IV. So what exactly is this IV therapy, and how do you? I mean, what would you like to tell our audience about it?
Okay. So what happens is when we look at functional medicine, you look at 5 areas that we touch. First one is nutrition. Second one is detoxification. Third one is balancing your hormones and neurotransmitters. The fourth one is a strong body and the fifth one is a strong mind. Now, when you're looking at nutrition, 90% of the times nutrition, we eat a lot of food, but we are malnourished. We eat excess, but still we are malnourished because we don't get the right nutrition. So a number of times we need to give you nutrition by way of IV drips so that you get that nutrition quickly into you because food is medicine. Always remember that. Number two, if you have too many toxicities, especially heavy metals or any other toxicities that are overwhelming your body now, many people tell me, Doc, we live in the same house, we drink the same water. Why is it that he doesn't have what I have? Now, each one of us has a liver. Each one of our livers works differently. The liver is supposed to be one of the detoxifying organs. Now, depending on how our biochemical systems work, each one detoxifies differently. Now, if your detoxification processes are not working well, I need to use IVs to give you that and detoxify. So the two mainstays of my treatment when I do IVs is good nutrition, giving you all kinds of amino acids, giving you high dose vitamin C if I need to, because it is used for various things. High dose vitamin C is used for infections like viral infections, bacterial infections, sepsis. Today, even the ICUs have started using it. We use it for detoxifying you, and we use it for cancer patients as well. Then we give you chelation drips, which are basically, that's again IVs, which are basically helping you to detoxify. Then we have amino acids like glutathione, which are the master antioxidants, help you in every aspect of your life. So, like this, there are a whole lot of IVs that we do. We do IV ALA, which is difficult in India because the IV itself is not available. But yes, we do it when a patient comes to us and is able to get it from overseas. So there are lots of IVs that we do which help you to kind of correct the abnormality. Either it is high toxins, so we detoxify you, low nutrition, we kind of adjust that nutrition, bring it up to the optimum, and that is what helps you to kind of reverse the disease and attain good health.
So is this part of the mainline modern medicine?
So when you give it IV, a lot of this comes from modern medicine, but modern medicine doesn't look at it very kindly. So you would probably call it alternative modern medicine or whatever. The reason being, let me tell you, everything that we do in IV therapies there is a lot of data. You go back and check PubMed, you will get tons of papers that will show you what we are doing is correct and this is the way to go. What happens? You see, when you look at modern medicine, we are so used to giving chemicals. What happens when you give chemicals? You will get a quick result, but you may also get a quick side effect. That's the reason why side effects are also there. Whereas when you look at nutritional medicine or functional medicine, the result is slow to come by. Why? Because what are we doing? We are getting into your body and trying to get the natural body processes do what they're supposed to do. At the end of the day, no medication, no doctor heals you. It's your body that heals you. It's those cells that heal you. So you need to get those cells of your body to work at its optimum pace, to work the best they can. And only then will you be able to heal yourself. Now, how do you do this? You do this by providing them proper nutrition. You do this by removing the toxicities. You do this by giving them all the natural stuff that they require in their body, their natural environment. Now, to get the body back to the natural environment, it takes time. So while functional medicine, nutritional medicine will give you the results in some time, it also doesn't cause those sudden side effects that most modern medicine drugs do. And so while we use a lot of the products which are available in modern medicine, which modern medicine frowns, like for example, glutathione IV, the official on-label use for it in India is for alcohol and non-alcoholic liver disease. But we use it for so many things and it really helps. They don't look at very kindly on vitamin C. Today, a lot of ICUs use it for sepsis. Why? Because today there's a lot of study that's coming up. Now, if that same sepsis studies were used for COVID, every COVID hospital would have used it. See, the only successes that have come out against COVID in very serious cases, even in Wuhan, has been with vitamin C. Unfortunately, modern medicine doesn't look at it. Why? Because there's no money in these medications. These are very cheap medications available. So that is the reason why people don't look at it. But there is enough data which modern medicine, which as per standards of modern medicine is valuable and valid data so that you can use it. So we use it from the, yes, we use the pharmacopoeia, which is of the modern medicine, but because for IVs, you need to do that.
Because that's exactly what I wanted to ask. Yes, Sanjay ji, please.
I have a question. A lot of people are coming to our clinics now to ask for high-dose vitamin C as a preventive or as an immunity builder to prevent viral infections, not just COVID, but other viral infections as well. How does this help, and what is the kind of dosage that's recommended by you to build sort of a shield for COVID?
So what data tells you? There's a lot of data that is there. And just yesterday, I was doing a workshop for some doctors. It's very clear that when you give vitamin C as a prophylactic, even you may just take it for anything. But what does it do in your body? The first thing it does is it improves the entire innate defense mechanism. There are so many. So our immunity has got innate immunity and adaptive immunity, which is antibodies. Now, innate immunity needs to be kind of upped. Vitamin C does that. Your defense mechanisms are at its maximum when you start giving vitamin C. So anything that comes in, the body is in a position to fight very easily. It upregulates genes that are responsible for interferons. It upregulates other genes that are responsible for lymphocytes. It upregulates a lot of genes that are responsible even for the antibody formation once you get it. So even the adaptive immunity needs it boosts it if you take it in advance. So I'll tell you one thing, Sanjay. I have been asking doctors that work with us from last April to take vitamin C every week. We give you 25 grams every week. Of course, there's a way to prepare it, but 25 grams every week. They take one drip. None of them have got COVID. They used to see 200, and this is in rural Maharashtra, rural Karnataka. They used to see 200 patients in OPDs daily. None of them got COVID. And some of them see COVID patients on a daily basis. All right. Today, my clinics, all my staff get it once a week because we don't know whom we are exposed to because we're giving IVs at close quarters. We treat patients at close quarters. Despite everything, you may still get exposed. I was the one intelligent guy who didn't take my own advice, and I got COVID. And since I got COVID, I have been treating myself like this. I've been protecting myself, taking high-dose vitamin C, 25 grams every week. And that is kind of keeping you protected.
So So, okay, so for someone who has already contracted COVID, can start the IV therapy, IV vitamin C therapy now, and then
Sorry.
I said, if what if someone has COVID now, and then someone has
Yes,
contracted it,
yeah.
the reports are positive, so you're already probably someone who is like a week has passed, with mild symptoms and whatever the complications. Can they also start after knowing that yes, they've got the COVID? They can start the IV therapy,
Yes. So
and
let
how?
me explain this. Let me explain this to you with my own example.
Okay.
Uh, I didn't know I had COVID. I just had a back pain for about 3-4 days and a lethargy for about 2 weeks. Till one day I developed a cough and I went and did a CT, and my CT showed that uh, my lungs were very badly affected. My Courette score was 14 or 15. I don't remember. I was asked to go to the hospital. I refused, and I started taking vitamin C from that day onwards. I do 25 grams every day, and in 10 days everything cleared out. I went and did my X-rays 2 weeks later. They said everything clear. I did a CT 1 month later. The ground glass appearance had disappeared. It's not possible, but it happened. You're supposed to wait for 6 weeks or something like that to see at least.
See that
So I
clarity.
have seen it with myself. I have put it on so many other patients who have survived very bad situations in ICU. They were. I mean, I have a doctor friend of mine who has put out a video which very clearly he clearly goes to say that even with the highest amount of oxygen, his SpO2 levels were 85 with the highest amount of everything. He had done plasma, he had done remdesivir, he had done everything. Uh, he actually contacted me around that time, and we forced the doctors there, or requested, or forced, whatever you want to say. He finally got the vitamin C the way we wanted them to give, and so we start. And that patient recovered on the third day. He was feeling better. On the fourth day, he was out of ICU. He was in there before that for about 12 days, and then he's perfectly normal today. I have a patient as of yesterday, a patient that was given up by the doctors in Ghatkopar in Mumbai. His parents called us up. I said, if you can, and his aunt was calling me from the US. I said, if you can tell the doctors to give, I will send the medications from my clinic in Mumbai there. We send them the medications. They luckily that doctor agreed and started him on vitamin C. First 3 days we were not getting any response. Yesterday was the fifth or the sixth day. His parents came back to us and said, now he's on very little oxygen. SpO2 is 98. This boy's SpO2 was 86 with the highest amount of oxygen. He was not responding to anything. So we have got so many cases like this that have responded to high dose vitamin C after they have got COVID. Depending on how bad it is, if you don't have any symptoms, but you're kind of getting it, you're getting a lot of cough, you do it once a day, 25 grams. But if you are in the ICU, anybody listening to this, if you can get hold of your vitamin C, 25 grams 3 times a day, just give it to the patients every 8 hours, and you see what happens by the sixth sitting. That means the next day. In 2 days, you'll see the patient improving. So this is for
And
doctors. I just want people to survive. That's it. I've been sending this out on all my groups and said, hey, listen, if you can do it, please do it.
okay, wonderful. Thank you
This
so
is
much.
amazing.
It was really helpful. Sanjay ji, any
What
other
about,
questions?
what about people who have now, we just spoke about people who have contracted COVID or have tested positive, and then they should take the vitamin C IV. What about people who have recovered after 14 days? They still have a lot of symptoms and no hospital are treating any of those symptoms. They just say that you've tested negative, now go home. And you could be having lethargy, pain, fatigue, body aches, loss of taste, loss of smell, etc., etc., and they keep getting a lot of for months and months they're not normal.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
joint pains and
how can they be helped
respiratory
in terms of
issues.
IV therapy?
So what we do, Sanjay, for this is most patients who are in this phase, including I had a very bad post-COVID session as well, because about 1.5 months later I had very bad post-COVID syndrome. Having said this, what we do generally is, and what helped me was high dose vitamin C again. I do high dose vitamin C once a week for all these patients, but I also do something else. I do IV glutathione for all of them as well. Before each high dose vitamin C, I do IV glutathione. And the most important, I give them melatonin on long term, high dose melatonin, not 3 mg that you get in the market. We give minimum 10 to 12 mg to start with, go up to 20 mg if required. Now, melatonin is an anti-aging hormone released by your pineal gland. It's natural, it's available. Unfortunately, many of us are low on melatonin thanks to our phones, because these blue lights and the blue lights of the screens that we see affect the pineal gland, and we don't have melatonin. But melatonin, by the way, works the same way vitamin C works in one of the pathways against COVID. It stops the inflammatory pathway of NLRP3 inflammasome. It stops that. And that is the reason why children, babies, even if they're contracted with COVID, they don't have any symptoms. Nothing happens to them because they're very high in melatonin. You see, in Wuhan, where the first cases came about, that hospital, not a single pregnant woman was afflicted with the virus, had any serious infection of the virus. They might have got they might be COVID positive, but they never had a completely overt infection. Why? Because every woman in her third trimester of pregnancy has got high melatonin. Now, melatonin blocks the inflammatory pathway of COVID. It blocks one of the inflammatory pathways. When it blocks that inflammatory pathway, the inflammation is down. Now, you need to understand, one of the reasons why many people post-COVID have all these pains is because they have too much of inflammation in their body. You do their inflammatory markers, their HSCRP will be 100. Mine was 100 two months later. It took me about 3 months for it to come down with vitamin C over a prolonged period of time, once a week with glutathione IV, once a week with melatonin. It took me some time for it to come down. Some people get very bad headaches. Those people have to take a little bit of steroid for a short period of time, 3 or 4 days, it goes away. Now, a lot of this post-COVID, they say, I mean, there's a lot of literature on this as well, that a lot of these post-COVID symptoms are because of some of the dead virus that's still there and the body's immune response to that dead virus in the form of inflammation. That inflammatory response causes those symptoms.
Very useful information, I must say.
Thank you.
What about
Yeah,
people who have, sorry, you asking something?
No, please go on.
For people who have heavy metal toxicity, I mean, since you're the the president of the society, you must be having a lot of patients that come to you for testing of heavy metals, and when you discover that they have high cadmium or mercury or arsenic and lead, etc., those patients are more vulnerable to getting COVID attacks or COVID infections. Inflammatory responses are higher. Do they get worse? Worse with COVID. People who have high metal toxicity, are they worse off than other people?
So, Sanjay, I'll answer this like this. What is the problem with COVID? COVID is caused by coronavirus. It's an mRNA virus. It's a small piece of tissue. It's not even an organism, right? Now, how are people dying from COVID? It's because of an unnatural fight back by the immune system. It's kind of a exaggerated response of the immune system. It's an exaggerated response. It is not an unnatural response. It's an exaggerated response. Now, why is that exaggerated response happening? It happens when your immune system is what you call not compromised, but kind of affected because of other issues like bad nutrition, high toxicities. All of it affect you, and that causes this maladaptive or exaggerated response of the immune system. Now, where does this happen? Everybody who's got diabetes, it will happen. Everybody who's got heart disease, it will happen. Everybody who's got cancer, it will happen. Anyone who's got immune compromised disorders or immune compromised status, it will happen. Why does this happen in all these people? Because you're naturally not, your body is not naturally in a position to fight this on a natural basis. That is one of the reasons why it happens, and that is the reason why you need to detoxify. You need a good nutritional supplementation plan to give you, and therefore when you give vitamin C, all this can be sorted out. Why? Because vitamin C also detoxifies to some extent. It restores some of your nutritional requirements, and it also fights the vitamins. I mean, it fights the viruses, the bacteria, whatever else you are prone to. Now, besides this, we do actually do detoxification for patients with pure chelation, pure chelators. We do IV EDTA, we do oral DMSA, we do a whole lot of them, including IV ALA and IV glutathione can be used for detoxification. So there is a whole protocol that we put in place for people to be detoxified. And yes, If you are staying in a city like Delhi, you're staying in a city like Bombay, where you are exposed to the kind of air that you have heavy metal toxicity in you because you're breathing cadmium, you're breathing lead, you're breathing a whole lot of other uh, toxic fumes that you keep getting and toxic elements that get into you. Besides this, your water and food is contaminated. Your water has got heavy metals. Your food has got heavy metals. And I used to go to Gujarat uh, years ago to Surat, and I used to visit a clinic there. And once somebody asked me, he said, "Doc, how do I get heart disease when I am a teetotaler? I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I'm a pure vegetarian." And I told him, "God help you. You know why? Because the major problem is because you are a vegetarian. It's not that vegetarianism is bad. It's excellent. But what is the quality of vegetables that you're having? What is the quality of grains that you're having? Every farm product that you have in this country today has got heavy metals in it. Why? Because you're putting inorganic fertilizer there, you're putting a lot of pesticide on it. All of these have got mercury, cadmium, arsenic in them. In fact, India is the dumping ground of arsenic. The companies import arsenic to put it in fertilizer. I don't understand this. I mean, there is so much available in the form of good, natural, organic fertilizers in this country, but we don't use it. We want to use this inorganic fertilizers, which actually harms each of us. And that is where the problem is. You get a lot of it in your food, you get a lot of it in your air, you get a lot of it in the water. And you can't change this. You can change everything else. You can't change the air that you breathe. You can't change the water that you're drinking, despite everything that you do. And your food is going to be remaining the same. You never have control about what's going to come from your food chain. So the only thing you have control of is your own body. So please detoxify it. And there are various ways of doing it. You can do it by IV, you can do it oral, you can use vitamins, you can use nutrition, you can use exercise on a regular basis that will also help you to detoxify. All you need to do is take the first step and ensure that you do it and help your body to do what it does best, keep you healthy.
So what about, you just spoke about cardiac health and you spoke about EDTA. I have read in your, in some of your articles that you have been using a lot of chelation therapies for atherosclerosis for heart patients to help them resolve their arterial blockages. How does that work exactly?
So basically, we don't resolve the arterial blockages. The chelation, what we call, doesn't remove blockages. Please understand that. What it does is it actually detoxifies you of lead, it detoxifies you of cadmium, it detoxifies you or removes heavy metals from your body. Now, what happens when you remove the heavy metals? Heavy metals, when they are there, they cause a lot of oxidation, they cause a lot of inflammation. Now, these are the two reasons why you have plaque formation within the artery. The moment you have oxidation and inflammation, you have cholesterol coming there. Now, cholesterol is not bad. Cholesterol is made in your liver because it needs to repair something in your body. You need to understand this one concept. Everybody blames bad cholesterol. They say cholesterol is high, I'm going to get heart disease. Your cholesterol is high because you already have heart disease, for God's sake. The cholesterol is there because it has to repair something in your body. So it gets there to try and stop the inflammation or oxidation happening within the arteries. Now, because of the heavy metals, because of the high oxidants that are there, high oxidation that is there, the LDL cholesterol gets oxidized. It becomes small, dense LDL, and that gets oxidized. When that gets oxidized, it causes damage within the arteries and causes the inflammation. Now, what happens when you give chelation, which we do? It removes this heavy metal. So it removes the cause of oxidation. It removes the cause of the inflammation. And automatically the body can start healing itself. And that's when the healing process starts. The moment that happens, wherever there is a blockage, there is collateral circulation that exists in the body, which opens up. So you get a natural bypass that happens. And that is how people feel suddenly good. All the pain that they used to have of angina goes away. They couldn't walk for 10 meters, so even for maybe 10 feet just across the room. Now they can walk for about 3-4 kilometers in the morning. And I have tons of these kind of patients who can come and vouch for you for this. I've had people brought into my clinic on a wheelchair and on a stretcher, walking out after chelation. Why? Because they have got their blood supply back. Everybody, yes, most. But there are also people who don't respond, and then we have other solutions.
There is a question by the audience. Actually, there were too many questions, but the last question which I've read is that people are asking what can be done apart from just wearing the mask, keeping the social distance, keeping the hygiene. How else can we protect? Because every day there is a new theory which is coming up. I can see the question once again that how to stay safe other than wearing mask, social distance, and staying at home. Because still
So
people are getting it even by staying at home.
yeah. So let me say this. Yes, you need to wear the mask. You need to stay at home. You need to do all that because there's nothing else that we can do at this point in time. But while you're doing all that, one of the most important things that you need to do is stay healthy. How do you stay healthy? You eat the right food. You don't overeat. You don't stress, because the moment you stress, it's easier said than done, but I'll tell you how you can get rid of stress. You can't stress about COVID or everything else and keep watching TV and see how many people are dying, because that's going to release cortisol. When you get cortisol released in excess, there's too much of stress on the body's immune system goes down. Whatever else you do, if you start getting stressed, you're going to get your immune system to shut down. Okay, please understand that. So you need to stop stressing. And so what do you need to watch? You need to watch something that will make you laugh. The moment you start laughing, you have endorphin release, and therefore the stress goes away, and therefore you start keeping healthy. The most important thing you need to do every morning, get up and exercise, for God's sake. You are stuck in the house anyway. Just because you're stuck in the house, don't take it as a holiday. You need to take care of your body. Exercise for 20 minutes every day, 10 minutes every day. Do a high intensity interval training in the house. Today, you have got your phones on your YouTube. There are so many people who give you 10-minute walking exercises at home, 15-minute walking exercise at home. You have Indian trainers. You have trainers from across the world who do it. Watch those and imitate them. Get up in the morning, have a glass of water, go to the loo, and then put on your shoes and do exercise. Because the moment you exercise in the morning, your body is going to be fit to fight any virus. If you don't do this, wearing those masks, staying at home, getting stressed is not going to help you much. You are going to further put yourself into trouble. So no stress, and exercise daily, and eat right. And finally, you need to sleep well. Your sleeping should be at 11 in the night to 5, 6, 7 in the morning, 7 hours. Whatever time you want to get up, get up. But 11 at night. Why 11 at night? Because from 11:30 each night right up to 2:30 in the morning, you have got both melatonin release and growth hormone release in your body. Both these help you to fight aging issues and also stay healthy. So sleep, exercise, eating right, and stopping stressing is something that you need to take care. You need to do it. Only you can do it. And everything else will fall in place if you take care of this.
Okay, I have a question from our audience. Mr. Sumit Srivastava wants to know that he's currently recovering from COVID, and he said once we tested negative again after 14 days, is there anything else to be done? Any blood test, any CT scan or anything? Or we are out
So,
of danger completely?
no. So if you have tested negative, you don't have the infection anymore. But if you have any kind of sequelae of that, you need to see. So if you had a CT scan done previously and you had some lung issues, and if you're still persisting with that, you can do it after 4 to 6 weeks, not immediately. But you may do your blood test and see if everything is okay, especially the inflammatory markers, HSCRP. If your D dimer was high, you can check if the D dimer has come back. Any of those markers need to be done to see if any residual inflammation is there, and then maybe
But
take action for that.
and though these tests should be done, say after a week during the COVID time or post
No,
14
so
days.
whatever is to be done during COVID, your doctor will tell you. Post
Okay.
COVID, if you need to see if you have completely recovered, because you will feel some lethargy, you want to know why that is happening. Might as well do a full blood test, including your inflammation markers, and see whether the inflammatory markers are high, which means that there is some amount of inflammation still there. The virus, go see, once 10 days are up after you've got infected, after you've tested positive, the virus is no longer going to infect somebody else. Okay, but it can still cause problems for you because it's between the 8th and the 10th day that the cytokine storm comes in. So all complications start around that time. Now with the second wave, they say it is much earlier. We are looking at a lot of cases where even on the 4th day, people are getting a severe lung issues. So these things are changing as on a daily basis, and we are seeing a lot of changes happening on a regular basis. But besides that, if once you have done those tests, you have recovered fully, you're at home, and you still want to know whether you are okay or not, please go and do your inflammatory markers and see if it's high. If it is, then you can take simple things like vitamin E to get rid of the inflammation. Your vitamin D has to continue. Oh, I forgot to talk about vitamin D. You need to have a lot of vitamin D while you have COVID. And the one thing I must tell you is the day you test positive, start taking vitamin D regularly. Though they say once a week, I give it to my patients for 5 days, every day 60,000 IU, and then I put it twice a week and then once a week. So that vitamin D continues. You can start vitamin E once you're all right to get rid of the inflammatory markers. You continue with vitamin C orally. And so these are some of the things that you can do. Continue with magnesium. You need high dose magnesium. You need 1,000 milligrams of magnesium every day. That will help you to control some of these post-COVID issues as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, the second question that he has is that can we catch COVID again? And if yes, then is there any timeline defined that you cannot catch COVID at least for, this time period, for a month or a
So,
week or a year?
so the right answer for this, I mean, nobody has a right answer for this. Okay, even I've been looking for it because I myself was COVID positive. Uh, they say, I mean, whatever is said in literature is the chances of you getting a repeat COVID infection are very low. So there are two reasons. One, it's just not the antibody count that you can check. And many people who've had COVID infection, the antibody counts are high. Many, there are no antibody counts at all. But what also happens is there are other immune system responses that the body creates, like increasing the interferons and so many other things that happen within the body, which even the current vaccines don't do. And there was a recent article on that which I read. But while the vaccines give you immune antibodies against the crown, they the actual infection gives you all-rounded immunity against the infection. So the chances are very low. Having said this, a lot of people have tested again positive. Now, whether it was a fresh infection, whether it was something else, nobody knows. We have not been able to get to the bottom of it. At least I've not read a lot of data, but there are people who say you can get it. And there are people who say it's very rare. So that is a little bit of a gray area. So I wouldn't like to say categorically that you will not get it, but likelihood you won't. Having said that, it's always good to be having precautions because there are two things you need to understand. You don't only think of protecting yourself, you need to protect others. So even if you are not going to get infected, if you don't use your mask, if you don't keep that 6 feet, you don't keep that social distancing, what happens? You could be a carrier for others. So if you don't want yourself to get infected, you should not infect others. So don't do that as well. You could actually get that infection in you. It wouldn't affect you, but you can carry it to someone else. So remember that as well. And that is one of the reasons you need to continue being very careful about how you do your or live your life. You need to still wear your mask. You still need to keep the social distancing during these COVID times because the virus is going wild and it's going wild and it's preying on what we do. All right.
Right, because it is so different than how it was last year, and the
Exactly.
way I would say it has become much more lethal than last year.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
now his third question comes that does it have any long-term effect on your body, your lungs, your immunity system?
No, actually, your immunity is good if you survive it because now the immune system can take care of an infection like this one. Number two, unless you've really had bad lung problems and fibrosis, you will not have too many issues going forward. Most of it resolved over a period of time, and most cases, some of the worst ones even, have completely resolved. The patients that I have seen, I've yet to see a patient who has come to me 6 months down the line with bad lungs still. But yes, some people do take a little longer than others.
And okay, now there are other cases which we are seeing that People are going steady with not too much of fluctuation, but all of a sudden they are developing high temperature. The body temperature goes really high, and then it scares people. No matter how much you tell them to stay calm and let it pass, people are getting stressed and scared. So is there some case studies? Maybe you and Dr. Sateva can tell me, what is this fluctuation happening? How is it related? This time I'm seeing more of people complaining about the sudden temperature rise.
So I have seen sudden temperature rise after it had gone away for 2 days. It comes back and it suddenly rises. Always remember, what is the temperature rise? It's your body's way of fighting something out. It's hypothermia to fight a foreign invader, right? So it's its
Right.
natural way of doing it. So if it's doing that, that means the infection has suddenly come back, and it's creating a problem. So something that is happening there. So it's a signal for you. Uh, when we look at it, or when I look at it like that, I normally put my patients on high dose vitamin C at that point in time. I don't wait for even a CT scan to be done or anything of that sort. Even if the patient has not done his RT-PCR test and he tells me he's got high fever and it suddenly shot up, I straight away do this. Having said that, we also give you symptomatic treatment. You need to take your antipyretics. That's your paracetamols and other things that you can bring that fever down. You need to do symptomatic treatment as well. And yes, if you panic at that time, you're only going to get sicker. So you need not panic. You either get in touch with your doctor. If you don't have breathlessness, just the fever going up, just relax, get in touch with your doctor. He will tell you what to do if there's nobody available. You need to remain calm, take your antipyretics, that is anti-fever tablets, and stay calm. If you are already if you already know that you have COVID, do what you have been asked to do. There are so many things you can do on your own, and these are everything from hot water inhalations to taking your tablets, Dolo, taking vitamin C, taking magnesium, zinc supplementation, taking vitamin D. All this you do and relax. As long as you don't have any chest problems, likelihood is with that high fever, the infection may go away. Because remember one thing, 98% of the population will not die with this COVID. It's the 2% that is going to have problems and will end up in the hospital. And from that, you have a small percentage that actually dies. So you need to understand that panicking only shuts down your immune system and doesn't allow it to function normally. So no panicking, irrespective of what happens.
Doctor,
My
sorry, Sanjay, would you like to add
sorry.
something?
Yeah, my experience has been that since as Dr. Lenny explained very nicely, that your fever is your response to your body's the rise of infection, and fever is just your body's response. I have seen in a lot of cases when you ask your patient to be calm and you allow the fever to go up as long as you can take it, even up to 101. If you can bear it, then bear it. Do not take any antipyretic until 101, until you cannot, and at all you cannot tolerate it anymore, and your body aches really go up and you have really intolerable responses, then only you react and you take an antipyretic. Otherwise, it is better to avoid and let the fever do its job.
If the fever is left to do its job, generally your infection dies away. That's the way the body works.
Yeah.
But we are so trained to kind of control that fever that we tend to give antipyretics. But many people can't. So if you can't, please take an antipyretic, but don't stress, because stressing will reduce that immune system response, and the virus will get more virulent.
Yeah.
Would you like to add something? Okay, I also wanted to understand, now that you had spoken about the chelation therapy, Myers cocktail, that is also, is it that just the combination of?
So Myers cocktail uh, is basically vitamin C for wellness. So when we give vitamin C, we give two kinds. We give low dose, we give high dose. Myers cocktail is something that we can give you on an OPD level to just boost your energy levels. That's what it's done in the West. Many people just come in and say, I'm low on energy. please give me something. And we give you a Myers cocktail, 5 grams of vitamin C, 10 grams of vitamin C with a whole lot of other nutrients in there. That's a completely purely nutritional supplemental thing. So you get everything in there. You go out and you're okay, steady, ready to go. I used to get a lot of patients like this in my Bandra clinic years ago, where we used to have a lot of people who used to work in various projects in Bombay. So it's very heaty. Many, specifically people coming from overseas, people who are non-Indians, coming from Australia, coming from UK, coming from the US. And they used to find the hot, sultry weather in Bombay very difficult to work, especially when they're working outdoors. So they used to come and tell me, Doc, we found you on the net. Can you give us a Myers drip? And I said, why do you need one? So they said, feeling really down, we can't work. So then we used to do a couple of tests, and we used to give them the Myers cocktail once a week or twice a week. And that used to keep them going till they finish their kind of stay in India. And a lot of people still use it across the globe, just as an energy booster. But more than energy booster, it keeps you in good stead. What are we doing for prevention of COVID? Again, a Myers, a kind of a modified Myers that we give.
So I think this is like the new form of how we see that the energy boosters, basically energy drink.
Exactly.
So instead of drinking it, we're taking it in the
Exactly.
IV form. That's
exactly.
how
In fact, for this, if you go to the UK or the US, you get these IV stations. Even in supermarkets, we used to give you that. So, but of course, they do it. They do it in a very small. The amount of vitamin C given is lower, but they do give these shots in this so-called wellness clinics.
Wonderful. So, how often one should do these? And
So
do they also help in building your immunity? Something to do with your immunity?
Exactly. The one that we give you is a modified one. We just we kind of increase the amount of vitamin C in the rest. Everything else is the same. So,
because Lavanya
so
Kumar
if you give a Myers, and if
asking-
you're regularly taking Myers, it's as good as building your immunity also, because it might not be that high, but it does give you a very good outcome.
Okay. Okay, like how you said that vitamin C dosage, Lavanya Kumar just asked a question that how many times the vitamin C session is required. I believe you have already answered that. That if once in a week it is taken, but for how long? Once in a week is fine, but for how long
So
one has to take it?
we generally give anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. Ideally 6 weeks. If the patient has been having issues, then we push it for about even up to 10 weeks. That should be enough. And you can do it once a year.
Enough for once in a year, 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah. That's it.
For
6 to 8
general
settings. Yeah.
Okay. So Dr. Lenny, also could you guide us to where all we can go for taking these mentioned IP dosage, and how much will that cost? So
to the person who asked me the question on costs, I really don't know how much it costs. But let me tell you, it's not very expensive, and depending on where you take it, the cost would vary. But having said that, there are clinics in Mumbai that do it. We do it. A lot of functional medicine clinics do it. So all you need to do is go on Google and say high dose vitamin C in Mumbai, Delhi, or wherever. Difficult in other parts.
In Delhi, we've seen a number of the wellness, including Devam Wellbeing. That's where at least I've taken my entire staff, and we have taken.
Devam is there. Lot of people are doing it. And we run, at least running through the two organizations that I head, courses every month during this pandemic to help doctors learn about IV therapies, about high dose vitamin C, so that they go out and treat patients both COVID and non-COVID as well. So we've been doing that as well.
Are there any possible side effects? Let's talk about the.
So that's a fantastic question, Shweta. Let me explain this to you. Till 40,000 years ago, vitamin C was made in our body. Okay? Vitamin C was made in our body. It was the last step of glucose metabolism. Today, glucose metabolism, beyond glucose, was vitamin C. Primates, that is the apes and us, have lost this ability to make vitamin C in our body 40,000 years ago. Now, please look at this. The ape, who's probably slightly bigger than a man, needs about 6 grams of vitamin C per day. A monkey, which is 1/10 the size of a human being, needs 600 milligrams of vitamin C every day. And he gets it from his diet. But a human being, the recommended daily allowance by medical establishment is 150 milligrams. Can you beat that? Okay. So vitamin C, however much you take it, is not going to create problems for you unless you have G6PD deficiency. So you need to do a test, or you need to know whether you are allergic to peanuts. If you're allergic to peanuts, that means you probably have G6PD deficiency. Vitamin C works through that, through G6PD. Vitamin C cannot work without that. And if you take high dose vitamin C, anything above 6 grams, and you have G6PD, you can have problems. And that is the reason why, first, if you have peanut allergy, don't take vitamin C, high dose vitamin C. Or if you want to be on the safe side, go and do your G6PD test and check. So this is good. This holds both for vitamin C as well as for ozone. I think Dr. Meri was there with you last time. She spoke about ozone. So it holds both for both. Both are bioxidative therapies. Both have the same pathways.
Vitamin K. I believe that's what we are
question on vitamin K. Is there a role for vitamin K2 apparently with vitamin D3, or how does it interact?
So if you want to use, I use K, basically K27, basically for people who have got bad arteries, so that that calcifications go away. You don't want high calcium and high vitamin D. You want high vitamin D, you don't want high calcium. High calcium will cause you problems, and that is a stupid thing that people do. We take calcium supplements, we don't take vitamin D supplements. We need to take primarily vitamin D supplements, and you can take K2. Why K2? Because K2 clears the unrequired calcifications in your arteries. It clears, and it has proper supply of blood supply. So I don't mind if you take K2, and it's excellent. And you get it in your natural cheeses. Good cheeses will give you K27.
But then people who are on gluten-free diet, or people who are on some or other diet, they stay away from.
Then you need to supplement it. Then you need to supplement it, because for a good cheese, yes, if you're on a casein-free diet, you should not be using a good cheese. You can use butter, but you can't use cheese. So if you want a casein-free, that is dairy-free, yes, you will need to supplement it in the form of K27. You get it in the country. Practically all supplements do have it today. A lot of the companies do make it on a regular basis. I mean, you can get it in any pharmacy today.
There are some more questions, Shweta. In terms of preclusions, are there any preclusions? That means that there are any type of people that cannot take vitamin C or the IV therapy?
Yeah. So I've just said that if you are K2, if you have G6PD deficiency, you cannot do it. If you do have hemochromatosis, you cannot do it. That means high iron levels permanently. If you have thalassemia, you cannot take it. So these are some of the conditions that you should not be taking it. If you're pregnant, you should not take it. If you're breastfeeding, I wouldn't advise you to take it either.
Any other questions, Sanjay? You may ask.
No, there's some questions on the screen which have been coming up. I've seen a lot of people asking for costs and all that. Can you go through those? I can't access those.
Yeah, we have gone through that, because different cities, different centers. So like in Delhi, we know the Devam Wellbeing. In Mumbai, Bandra, I believe Dr. Lenny, and there are many other centers where people
have now in Kerala also. We've started now in all the residential Niramaya retreats. We've started all the treatments. All of Dr. Lenny's protocols are available in all the Kerala retreat and the Surya Vilas in Solan.
Of course, in Goa we have it both in Panjim and Margam, and we're doing it in some resorts as well. So we do have some wellness options available. In fact, Sanjay has been working on some in the north. You should actually try and take those once in a while to get yourself.
Okay, Ms. Preeti Raheja wants to know: does corona cause low HP?
It can cause low HP if you have, if you do have. See, basically, one of the ways that the cytokine storm hits you is it kind of knocks your oxygen carrying capacity of the hemoglobin. So you may not have too much of low hemoglobin, but you might have an empty hemoglobin going around, and that is what causes people to have D dimers going up and all the complications of heart attack and heart failure and everything that happens with it. So it doesn't really cause hemoglobin, but it causes a bad hemoglobin. It causes a dysfunctional hemoglobin to take place. That is what is the what corona causes. That is when it happens, when it gets into that cytokine storm and starts causing you problems. That is what it does.
Anything else that you would like to add in? Mostly
Yeah.
for,
So
I think one is that yes, there are a lot of people struggling with COVID. And another part that I see is that people who are struggling with other serious health ailments apart from COVID being neglected at the same time. Our hospitals are overwhelmed. There is the healthcare system completely has, they're overburdened. I would say can't blame them. And yes, it's something which the humanity was not prepared. It is a calamity which has just struck us, and it's a trial and error method, I believe, which is going on, including the vaccination part. Yes, it's a serious try from the healthcare. They are trying to cure it, although it is too soon to even develop a really, I would say, a foolproof medicine to it. But yes, the the effort to treat it, the effort to defer it, are really going on effortlessly from be it from the main medical healthcare or from the functional medicine. So, what is your takeaway, for the audience? What would you like to tell them? What to do in these cases? Dr. Lenny, you first, and then Sanjayji, I would like to hear something from you before we
so
conclude.
I've had issues with my geriatric patients. For example, 3 days ago, I had a very dear friend of mine, very old patient, very dear friend of mine, uh, whom I wanted to, about 4 days ago, I wanted to admit in a hospital. And the hospital, the friend of mine where I wanted to admit, turned on and told me, he says, no, I can't because the government Goa has asked us to convert my entire hospital into a COVID hospital. So I said, where do I admit her? So he says, I know, it's a problem. Nowhere can you get. And we couldn't get a bed for her. Unfortunately, she also was not too keen on getting admitted, and she passed away 2 days later. And so these things do happen, and that is one of the reasons why in Mumbai, my teams who are treating cancer patients, we've got a lot of cancer patients in Mumbai that we are treating. We have a lot of heart care patients that we are treating. And so our teams go to their houses and do it because we know that these people will not get care if they have to go into a hospital. So we go home and do it. Unfortunately, that is the collateral damage that we have of this entire pandemic. It's sad, but there are hospitals who are trying to kind of play both. But current situation with no oxygen and so many things missing, it's getting difficult to treat both COVID patients and those who need care. And many of those deaths are also going to start coming in now because of lack of medical facilities to accommodate them. I'm sorry, but that is what is happening. In our end, we try our level best to try and go home and do treatments wherever possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sanjayji.
Thank you very much for this very enlightening talk, Dr. Lenny, and for throwing light on a very, very critical therapy, I think, which will reduce substantial burden on the system if we can educate people enough to take these vitamin therapies, which are all IVs, and the kind of therapy that you are doing at your Goa clinic. It's absolutely heartwarming and very, very relieving to hear the kind of recovery stories that I've heard from you over the last 10 years that I've known you, which are absolutely amazing. And we are really grateful for you to have come on this show and enlightened all of us. Is there one last question that came in about vitamin C? Is that does high dose vitamin C cause leukoderma?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't cause any of that. Don't worry about it.
Okay. There's a lot of clarity now. I think a lot of our
Nothing.
patients will be very
Nothing. No
happy to hear that.
leukoderma, nothing. It causes nothing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Lenny. Really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much,
for having
Sanjayji.
me.
Thank you, Lenny-ji.
Pleasure.
Dr. Lenny, I believe it's been really a helpful session for our audience. People got to know a lot of about other therapies, alternative therapies, I would say, ways to take care of your health, ways to prevent COVID, ways to tackle with this pandemic, and also to take care of yourself even post COVID and during any other serious healthcare issues. So thank you very much for being with us in these critical times. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being there, Shweta. Bye, Sanjay.
Bye bye.